The US president, by all accounts, was having a quiet weekend at the White House, joining his wife Jill Biden for dinner on a rare outing in Washington on Saturday. But behind the scenes, officials at the White House and other agencies were planning intensively for Biden to make an unannounced trip to Kyiv to show solidarity with Ukraine days before the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion. Now, the trip was executed under a cloak of secrecy for obvious security reasons. Early Monday morning, in fact, Joe Biden secretly left Washington on a flight with a much smaller footprint than the typical presidential pomp. Publicly, the White House maintained as recently as Sunday night that Biden would leave D.C. on Monday and fly to Poland. 2 journalists accompanied the US president instead of the usual complement of 13. Their phones were confiscated till they arrived in Kyiv. Now, Biden also flew for about 7 hours from Washington to the US military base in Germany. The plane refueled in Germany, and Biden then went on to fly to Poland. After a 1-hour drive, he arrived at the Poland-Ukraine border. The US president then boarded a train and traveled 10 hours to Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. His train was actually traveling in the dark with heavy security on board. But why exactly was this an extraordinary trip? Now, while many US presidents have gone to active war zones, this includes George W. Bush, Obama, and Donald Trump, who all went to both Iraq and Afghanistan. Those visits happen typically within security military installations or in territories under US control. Kyiv, by contrast, is the ongoing target of a missile offensive by Russia, one expected to increase in ferocity as the two nations mark the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion later this week. Now, the US National Security Advisor said that Russia was given a heads up some hours before Biden's visit for what they called deconfliction purposes. But this trip is almost certain to elicit a response from Moscow. Biden's visit comes as China's top diplomat, Wang Yi, is scheduled to visit Moscow for talks that are also likely to cover the war in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin is expected to counter Joe Biden's messages in Poland today by delivering a major national address around the same time.